Good morning. I've already been up just about an hour, and it's only 3:33, which is 9. And this is the ninth wave, and it's the second day of the, what is it, the second day of the third day in the ninth wave. Things are moving fast, and so this was about sprouting. So what sprouted yesterday? I was amazed at how many people watched the video, although I didn't even check this morning, to be honest with you. But there were, last night, there were, well over 250 people that had watched the video, and I know that number will only grow, as they always seem to, or most of the time anyway. Anyway, I'm going to title today's little talk, Attached to Outcome, Not Means. Yes, I'm going to talk about the battle to keep my home, since I did not get anything from the young man with Sue's talk. That'll go up when it goes up, as I've said before. But there was a whole lot of communication going on here yesterday, and I was hearing suggestions from quite a few people. It looks like I might even be getting some high-powered help. Who knows? Everything is still in the sprouting stage. And so we've got a bunch of days to work on this together. As those of you know that have been listening, there was an unlawful judgment made by the court that was illegally in collusion with the bankers that want to steal my home. The date is actually Wednesday, May the 8th, when the auction is settled. And one person told me, if the sheriff is not one of the good guys, and there are good sheriffs in this country, and there are some sheriffs that are not so hot, that are still going along with the system and playing according to the beast rules that allow the government to overrun the people's rights and to overrun and ignore their own laws that are on the books, as is happening in this case. Number one, this is a homestead. They are not allowed to have a court action to take a homestead away from anyone. That's Florida law. It's very solid Florida law. Anytime that they attempt to take property away from someone, there are avenues within the law that are remedies. Now, I have used a lot of those remedies during this case that I thought totally protected my home, which the court has totally and unlawfully ignored again and again. One of the suggestions that came to me yesterday was to mount a worldwide campaign to have letters come flooding into the court, and this wasn't suggested, but even into the law firm that represented the bank in this foreclosure. And it's not even a foreclosure case. I mean, it's a pure out simple theft of property, attempted stealing, right out from under me. They're trying to steal my home. Now, this kind of stuff, folks, goes on all over the world. I'm fortunate in that I have a voice that people are listening to. How I've been graced with that must be my destiny. Let's just put it up for destiny. I don't know why God enabled me from the beginning of doing these videos to have so many people tuning in. And I am eternally, I was going to say indebted, but I'm not a debtor to anyone. I'm here to love. The whole world has run on indebtedness. That's what's wrong with the whole world. You remove the indebtedness to the bankers, and the world can change very, very quickly. The problem is the monetary system. That is the root cause of virtually all the evils in the world. I've said that before. I'll no doubt say it again. You get rid of a corrupt monetary system, the corrupt governments will fall in line, the corrupt corporations will fall in line, The people will have a voice again. It is the monetary system that has stolen from people their voice. But we need to give people back their voice. All over the world, in Spain, I'm getting a lot of information about what's happening in Spain as the Spanish people are standing up to the government. And of course, we've seen around the world where there are outcries from the people. Well, I need your help. And I'm not going to be fussy about the means. I'm not going to try to be neat about the means. Anybody that writes to me and wants to get involved, I'm still debating this, whether I want to put the name of the lawyer and the law firm that represented the bank out publicly and the name of the judge in the 18th Judicial Circuit in and for Brevard County, Florida, out publicly so that you can write to them. And I don't know how many other, we're going to mount a campaign, and this is how you can stand with me no matter where you live in the world. You can write a letter, and I haven't totally figured all this out yet, but there needs to be a public outcry. Not just from me. I'm just simply a representative of what's going on all over the world as these courts and these banks collude to steal from people. The banks have been stealing from us all along. They have committed gross fraud and gross negligence, and they need to be held accountable. The banks and the bankers need to be held accountable. Yes, it will bring down the economy as we have known it. And the economy as we have known it is corrupt. It needs to be brought down. I'm telling you folks, it will not bring down the world, and it will not stop everything from happening. They may threaten that this is what's going to happen. The banks are too big to fail. And that's why in the United States, they've spent these billions and billions and billions of dollars bailing out the bankers. And a lot of that money went to Europe. And it's maintaining the grip of this beast on the people. And that grip needs to be released. And the only way, I'm convinced, the only way it's going to be released is by defeating the monetary system as it stands, which defeats the court system as it stands, which takes the UCC out of the equation. Now I'm not going to say that the latter one is going to happen overnight. I'm not saying any of it's going to happen overnight. It's sprouting, folks. It's sprouting. It's time for the people to rise up and stand with our brothers and sisters that are being targeted. In my case, I believe, for speaking out, although the bank's lawyer has always wanted to steal this home. From the beginning, she's had her eyes on taking away this home from me. From the beginning. And I am attached to the outcome of staying in my house and continuing the work that I feel called to do. I've also had opportunities to go to other places as a refuge if need be. And I appreciate that, but my desire is to stay here. Now, one of the things that has come up for me in this whole process is just how much I can't follow every spiritual principle that I've ever been taught. Because truthfully, sometimes the spiritual principles don't work. They have to be fluid. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I'm learning in spirit. Spirit is alive. And this whole thing is an organism that's moving. It's breathing. When I say this whole thing, I mean the whole human population, the whole Earth, the whole solar system, the whole galaxy, the whole cosmos. It's a breathing organism. The commercial code and the indebtedness and the debt monetary system has made the breathing artificial. And we need to get it breathing back again naturally. And that's what's sprouting. That's what I'm helping to sprout. I don't know if the lawyers watch my videos every day. I'll see after this one if I get a response. But what's sprouting is the awakening, the eternal flame. See the candle there? I put one where you could see the flame better instead of the one that I had yesterday where it's sort of buried down inside and you don't hardly see the flame flickering. So I put a different candle out again this morning. That flame is burning inside of you and me. It's burning in us. It's a divine flame. It cannot be extinguished. It will not be extinguished. The means that we're going to use is public outcry. There may be other means that Spirit provides, but we have a voice. Let's use it. Let's use our voices. Let's be willing to stand up and to speak out. I haven't organized the whole thing yet, but we're going to go right to the very people that have committed the unlawful deeds. Oh, I forgot. The Shriners have been an extremely big part of this case. They have been co-defendants with me in this lawsuit. And the Shriners' lawyer has not been my friend from the beginning. Well, anyway, yesterday I got another notice from them. They have now reached an agreement to split the property, which I told them they could have the property over on Merritt Island, which used to be Dr. Mary's home. I've not contested that property for a long time. I was willing to relinquish any claim to it, which I have some lawful claims to it. But that's irrelevant. I totally let go of that. The only thing that I ever wanted was to be left alone in my home. That's the only thing I ever asked for. But the Shriners again reaffirmed that the judgment of the court nullified the transfer of the deed to that property, which means it was never mine, which means the mortgage that was signed was also nullified in that process. So the same judge that was allowing the banks to steal my home from underneath me nullified by process, following the process, he nullified the very mortgage, and it doesn't even matter if it's a copy or an original. It was all null and void according to the judge's ruling. This is the duplicity that we're dealing with. This is the amount of fraud that we're dealing with, where the judge is speaking out of both sides of his mouth to two of the parties, allowing one to nullify the mortgage and allowing the other to use a copy. Folks, that's illegal. That's unlawful. They cannot use a copy of a negotiable instrument. They cannot use a copy. It's against the law. Even in the commercial code, it's against the law. They cannot do it. The only way they can do it is if they can prove that through a fire or a major calamity, all of the documents were destroyed. And it can't just be one document. It has to be a loss of, they can't selectively just lose a single document or a single page of a document. They have to show a loss for everything, which they never did. They just said, we lost it, but they didn't say how they lost it. There's a whole bunch of things I learned yesterday. A whole bunch of things. I haven't even put all the pieces together in my head yet to mount another response to the court. But we're going to stop them. We're going to stop the court in its action. We're going to get permission or support of the sheriff. I started talking about that earlier. In some counties here in the United States, the sheriffs are refusing court orders and from the banks, representing the banks, to foreclose on properties. They're refusing because the fraud is so massive and so extensive. I mean, we're talking millions of mortgages are going to get flushed down the toilet because they are unlawful and illegal. And that's going to help bring down the whole financial house of cards, this whole Ponzi scheme that's been going on, where they get borrowers to create money out of thin air and then charge them for the assets that were created with the promissory notes. Folks, this game is, I can see the end of this game. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not by any means over, but I can see us moving toward that end of the tunnel, and it excites me. I was really, really down the last while because I was feeling like I was going to have to stand alone. I wasn't getting the help that I thought was coming. The means that I thought were at my disposal aren't working. But there are lots of means, and I'm not at all attached to the hows. Let Spirit bring that to me day by day. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But I've told God, I says, I'm not going to be a sacrificial lamb this time. I've played that role. Other times I have a keen awareness that many times my soul has played that role of the sacrificial lamb, where I've laid down and allowed myself to be taken, allowed my property to be stolen. I've allowed that to happen. Not this time. This time it's time for me and time for my friends and people around the world to stand up and start saying aloud, no, I'm not going to scream at you today. But anyway, I've rambled today. And if I'm seem scattered, well, I didn't get hardly any sleep, only 2.5, 3 hours of sleep last night. And I'm tired, and I'm probably going to go back to bed after I finish this and get it uploaded and everything. But I wanted to bring you up to date, and I so much appreciate the outpouring of love and the outpouring of support that I'm getting. I so much appreciate each one of you that not only listens but shares and helps encourage other people to get involved. Again, I will be following up with some contact information on where you can send letters. But I'd like to know from you today, those of you that are willing to stand by and not just individually send letters, but get your friends to start sending letters. We need thousands upon thousands of letters coming to the court, and I think to the law firm that initiated this action, and to the bank that is stealing the property. Although quite honestly, it's the bank, or it's the court and the law and this particular lawyer. But it's not just this particular lawyer, because a lot of lawyers are playing the same game because that's where they see the money. There's also some lawyers, thank God, that do operate on principle. Thank God for that. And I'm thankful for every lawyer and every judge and every sheriff and every politician that's willing to stand up against the injustice that's been going on and say enough. I'm so grateful for that. And I bless you this morning. I've gone longer. I was going to make this actually a short one. It ended up, now it's over 18 minutes already. And I apologize for that. But anyway, I thank you. I thank you. Namaste. Thank you.